Are you bunch of swamp donkeys? Let's cut the crap about hillbillies banging their banjos and chugging that moonshine. You're smarter than that.
Way
So
smarter.
you want the real fucking Ozarks, and we snagged an expert who's been up to their elbows in this shit for ages.
You could say that I got a thing for the Ozarks.
A thing for the Ozarks, huh?
From the ancient mountains to that wild-ass culture that's brewed up there.
Brewed up there. All right, so before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's tackle the name Ozarks.
Okay.
That sounds like some bullshit a toddler made up. Spill the beans. Where the hell did it come from?
Well, it's kind of funny, actually. The name likely came from mangling a French phrase, Oark.
Oark.
Yeah, which probably points to either the Arkansas River
The Arkansas River?
or those crazy natural arches you find all over the place.
Fancy French fur traders, huh?
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? So we're not talking some backwater shithole, right? This Ozark thing is fucking huge.
Right.
Give us a lowdown on the size of this beast.
We're talking a whopping 47,000 square miles.
47,000.
It's like bigger than most countries, and it stretches across Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and even grazes a bit of Kansas.
Damn, a real goddamn empire.
It is.
But hold your horses. It's not just one big blob of hills and hollers, right?
Oh.
This motherfucker's got to have some variety lay it on us.
Think of it like a geological buffet. You've got the rugged Boston Mountains with peaks so high you'd think you were in the Rockies.
Okay.
Then there's the Springfield Plateau, rolling hills, riddled with hidden caves.
Roll hills.
Missouri earned its nickname the Cave State for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, they've got over 7,300 of those bad boys.
Hold up. 7,300 caves.
7,300.
You're telling me a whole army of mole people could be chilling down there.
We could be.
All right, keep going. What else you got on this geological menu?
Let's not forget about those ancient badasses, the St. Francois Mountains.
St. Francois Mountains.
Yeah, they're the granddaddies of the Ozarks, geologically speaking.
Okay.
We're talking older than the dinosaurs.
Older than the dinosaurs.
These mountains are the eroded remnants of a range that formed hundreds of millions of years ago.
Holy shit, dinosaur-era mountains. That's some serious old-school badassery. What does all that ancient rock mean for the Ozarks, besides looking cool as hell?
Well, for starters, it means lead and zinc deposits. The Ozarks have a long history of mining, which has shaped both the land and its people.
So it's not all just moonshine and banjo strumming, huh?
Not all.
Although I bet there's still plenty of that going on.
Oh, yeah.
All right, but before we dive into the hillbilly culture, you mentioned something about glades. What the hell are those?
The glades. Imagine this mini desert smack dab in the middle of the Ozark.
Mini deserts.
Rocky, sun-baked with cacti, tarantulas, scorpions, the whole shebang.
Wait, hold the fucking phone cacti scorpions. I thought we were in the Midwest, not some goddamn Western.
It's true. These glades are a unique ecosystem, a leftover from a much drier climate from way back when.
So in the Ozarks, you can go from lush forests to cave-dwelling mole people to frickin' deserts all in one afternoon. Damn, this place is like a choose-your-own-adventure book on crack. What the fuck else you got up your sleeve?
Hold on, we're just getting started. Let's talk about those rivers.
Okay.
These aren't just for dumping your empty moonshine jugs, you know?
Oh, I bet they've got some stories to tell. Fill us in. What makes these Ozark rivers so damn special?
The Ozarks are crisscrossed with rivers and streams, lots of them dammed up to create those massive lakes that tourists go apeshit for.
Yeah, those lakes are a big fucking deal. But I gotta ask, damming up all those rivers that must have pissed off some of the locals back in the day.
You bet your ass it did. Entire communities got uprooted, their way of life turned upside down.
Upside down.
Take Forsyth, Missouri, for example.
Forsyth, Missouri.
They had to move the whole goddamn town because of a damn project.
Damn, talk about a major pain in the ass. So not everyone was thrilled about turning the Ozarks into one giant water park.
Let's just say there was some pushback.
Pushback.
But there were also some victories for those who wanted to keep things wild.
Okay.
The Buffalo National River, for example,
The Buffalo National River.
became America's first national river in 1972 thanks to groups like the Ozark Society.
The Ozark Society.
They fought tooth and nail to keep that river free-flowing.
Good for them.
Yeah.
It's good to know that some parts of the Ozarks are still untamed. But enough about the damn geography. Let's talk about the people. Are they really all banjo-strumming, moonshine-swigging, cousin-marrying hillbillies?
That's a load of bullshit. Ozark culture is way more complex than that. It's a mix of influences from those early Appalachian settlers to waves of Irish and German immigrants.
Okay.
They all threw their own shit into the pot.
So it's more than just Daisy Dukes and hee-haw reruns.
Way more.
Give us the real deal on Ozark life, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Think hunting, fishing, trapping, foraging.
Foraging.
These folks know how to live off the land.
Right.
They've got morel mushrooms and ginseng coming out their ears and square dancing. It's practically a religion in those parts.
Okay, now that's starting to sound a little more interesting than your typical Walmart parking lot brawl. But what about Ozark culture in the wider world? How does the rest of these dumbasses see these folks?
Ozark culture's been both romanticized and ridiculed in the media. You got classic books like Where the Red Fern Grows, painting a heartwarming picture.
Okay.
But then you've also got the Beverly Hillbillies and that Netflix show Ozark throwing some shade.
Yeah, Ozark is a wild ride, but I'm not buying that every Ozark resident is laundering money for drug cartels.
You mentioned some crazy-ass Ozark folktales earlier. Spill the beans. What kind of weird shit are we talking about here?
Oh, man, you wouldn't believe some of these stories. Vance Randolph, a folklorist who spent a lot of time in the Ozarks,
Vance Randolph?
collected hundreds of them.
Hundred.
We're talking tall tales, supernatural beings, and enough dirty jokes to make a sailor blush.
All right, Randolph, you've got my attention. Hit me with one of those folktales. Give us a taste of that Ozark weirdness.
Okay, but be warned, some of these stories are a bit out there. You
What?
sure you can handle it? Bring it on. Our listeners aren't a bunch of pussies. They can handle a little Ozark spice.
All right, here's one about a fella who goes hunting, but he's not after deer or turkey. This guy's looking for a hide behind.
A hide behind... What the fuck is that? Sounds like some kinky Ozark sex thing.
Not quite. The hide behind is a mythical creature always lurking just out of sight.
Okay.
Some say it's big and hairy, others say it's skinny and bony,
Yeah.
but they all agree on one thing: it'll get you when you least expect it.
So it's like Bigfoot's creepy cousin from the Ozarks.
You could say that anyway. This guy is dead set on bagging himself on hide behind sets traps, spends days in the woods, nearly freezes his balls off.
Wait, he's actually trying to catch this thing? Most people would be shitting their pants and running the other way.
That's the Ozark spirit for you, always up for a challenge, especially if it involves outsmating something strange and potentially dangerous.
So did he ever catch the damn thing?
Well, that's where it gets interesting. He finds signs, broken branches, weird tracks, even a pile of, well, let's just say it wasn't from any animal you'd find in a zoo.
Okay, that's officially creepy as fuck. So he's hot on the trail with his hide behind. Then what?
Just when he thinks he's cornered the creature, he hears a voice.
A voice.
A voice that seems to be coming from everywhere and nowhere all at once.
Dude, that's some freaky horror movie shit. What did the voice say?
It said, "You're looking too hard, you fool. A hide behind is meant to be felt, not seen."
And then what happened? Did this dude shit his pants and run?
Pretty much he hightailed it out of the woods and never went back.
So the moral of the story is, if you're looking for a good time in the Ozarks, don't bother with the hide behinds.
I think the real lesson is that sometimes the things we chase are better left alone.
Deep, man. Deep. Probably good advice for navigating Ozark dating apps, too.
Okay.
But let's get back to real-life Ozark culture for a minute. You mentioned music earlier. I'm guessing we're talking more than just banjos here.
Ozark music is a rich tradition with roots in Scots-Irish ballads and fiddle tunes brought over by those early settlers. You'll hear banjos, sure,
Okay.
but also guitars, fiddles, mandolins, dulcimers. It's a whole damn orchestra of sounds.
So you're telling me there's more to Ozark music than that one song from Deliverance, Color Me Surprised.
Way more, think hauntin' ballads, foot-stompin' fiddle tunes, gospel harmonies that'll send chills down your spine.
Okay.
There's a soulfulness to Ozark music, a connection to the land and the people's history.
And this music is still alive and kicking today. I'm picturing a bunch of old-timers in overalls plucking away on porches.
You'll find that for sure, but there's also a younger generation keeping the tradition alive. They've got festivals, jam sessions, even schools dedicated to teaching Ozark music.
Damn, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to experience authentic Ozark music, where would I go?
Mountain View, Arkansas is a good place to start. They call it the folk music capital of the world for a reason.
The folk music capital of the world.
They've got live music every day, and you can even take classes in traditional instruments.
Mountain View it is. I'm feeling a road trip coming on. But before we book our tickets, we got to talk about the elephant in the room, Ozark. The Netflix show. How much of that shit is real?
Let's just say they took some creative liberties.
Some creative liberties?
The Ozarks are beautiful and complex, and the show captures some of the darkness you find in any rural area, but it's not all money laundering and drug cartels.
Yeah, I figured as much, but I gotta admit, the show does make those lakes look pretty damn inviting.
Yeah.
You ever been tempted to try your hand at a little Ozark money laundering scheme?
I'm more of a research and write books kind of guy, but I've definitely crossed paths with some shady characters in the Ozarks. It's a place where the old ways collide with the modern world, and sometimes that gets messy.
Messy is one way to put it, but I guess that's part of what makes the Ozarks so damn interesting. It's a region shaped by geology history and a whole lot of colorful characters.
And don't forget those crazy-ass folktales.
True, but all right, folks. We've covered a lot of ground in part two, but we're not done yet. We've got to delve into some of the challenges facing the Ozarks today.
Yeah.
Environmental issues, the impact of tourism, that kind of shit.
And maybe squeeze in a few more of those outlandish folktales if we have time.
Stay tuned for part three where we'll wrap up our deep dive into the heart of the Ozarks. All right, you beautiful bastards, we're back for the final round of this Ozark showdown time to get real and talk about the not-so-pretty side of this wild-ass region expert. Hit us with the bad news first. What kind of environmental shitstorms are brewing in the Ozarks?
Well, let's start with the obvious water pollution.
Water pollution.
Remember all those factory farms and processing plants we talked about?
Yeah.
Turns out they aren't exactly known for their eco-friendly practices.
Yeah, dumping a shit ton of pig waste into pristine rivers probably won't win you any Save the Ozarks awards. What else is screwing things up?
Deforestation's another biggie. Logging's been a major industry in the Ozarks for ages, and while there's been some effort to do it sustainably, there's still a lot of damage being done.
So less trees, more erosion, more fucked up ecosystems, not good.
Exactly. And then there's the issue of invasive species. From feral hogs tearing up the undergrowth to exotic plants choking out native flora, these newcomers are wreaking havoc on the Ozarks' delicate balance.
Invasive species always got to be some asshole from out of town coming in and ruining things, right? So what's being done to tackle all this environmental crap? Are the Ozarks doomed, or is there a glimmer of hope?
There are definitely people fighting the good fight, conservation groups like the Ozark Society, government agencies like the National Park Service, and even private landowners are working to protect the region's natural beauty.
So it's not a lost cause. We're not just going to end up with one giant Walmart parking lot stretching from Missouri to Arkansas.
Not if the folks who care about the Ozarks have anything to say about it, but it's going to take a lot of effort, a lot of education, and maybe a little bit of that old-fashioned Ozark stubbornness to turn things around.
Okay, that's the environmental shitstorm covered. Now, let's talk about the human-made kind, tourism. It's a double-edged sword, right? Brings in money, but also brings in a whole lot of well tourists.
You hit the nail on the head. Tourism is a major economic driver for the Ozarks, but it also puts a strain on the environment and can lead to the commodification of their culture.
Yeah, Branson's a perfect example. You got your Dolly Parton impersonators, your go-kart tracks, your endless buffets. Not exactly authentic Ozark culture, is it?
Not quite, but it draws in the crowds, and that means jobs and revenue. The challenge is finding a way to balance economic development with preserving the things that make the Ozarks unique.
So how do you strike that balance? Do you just ban tourists altogether and tell them to go back to Disneyland?
That's one option, but probably not the most practical. It's more about promoting responsible tourism, encouraging visitors to appreciate and respect the Ozarks' natural and cultural heritage.
Easier said than done, I'm sure, but hey, maybe those crazy-ass Ozark folktales can help scare the tourists straight.
I wouldn't put it past the Ozark storytellers to come up with a tale or two about unruly tourists getting their comeuppance. But in all seriousness, education is key. The more people understand about the Ozarks, the more likely they are to appreciate and protect them.
Well said, expert. Well said. All right, folks. We've explored the highs and lows of the Ozarks from its ancient mountains to its modern-day challenges. So what have we learned? What's the big takeaway from all this Ozarkian madness?
I think the main takeaway is that the Ozarks are far more complex and nuanced than those hillbilly stereotypes might suggest. It's a region with a rich history, a unique culture, and a natural beauty that's worth fighting for.
Damn straight. It's a place where you can find beauty and darkness, humor and hardship all wrapped up in a package that's as unpredictable as a hide behind in the woods. And that, my friends, is what makes the Ozarks so damn fascinating.
Indeed. And who knows, maybe we'll be back for another deep dive into the Ozarks someday. After all, there are always more stories to tell, more secrets to uncover, and more of those damn folk tales to share, assuming we survive the next encounter with a hide-behind that is.
So until next time, keep your eyes peeled, your wits about you, and your appreciation for the wild, wonderful, and sometimes downright weird world of the Ozarks. And remember, folks, sometimes the things we search for are better left unseen.
Words to live by.
Words to live by. Peace out.